Good morning. Today is Friday the 6th of February. I'm going to be home alone for the next 3 days working on my video game while my husband is away for the weekend, and I thought I would take this opportunity to record my work process as someone who is currently a full-time indie game developer. Now, immediately upon hearing that, you might think two things. One, what's your video game? My video game is called Surf Club. That's my video game. And question two, what do you mean you're going to be recording yourself working for the next 3 days? Didn't you just say that today is Friday? Well, if I want to release it in the time that I want, which I'm not going to say the exact date that I want to release it yet, but basically, it's currently imperative that I work as much as possible and get my game done as soon as possible. So I'm just going to be sacrificing weekends for a bit just to work on it. It's currently 10 a.m. I have had my breakfast and I've walked Nene. I've been up for a couple of hours already and I've written a to-do list in my journal. My goals for today are to finish a Stingray 3D model that I started a couple of days ago. Then I want to move on to texturing some of the locations in the game, specifically two interior scenes, 2 bedrooms that are modeled but need texturing. Then I want to work on a scene in the game which involves the characters on a swing set and they're like having a conversation whilst swinging, and I want to set up the animations for that. And then I also want to do some meal prep so that for the next 3 days I don't have to be like thinking about food while I'm trying to work. I'm going to start with the quickest and easiest task first, which is the Stingray, and I will check back in with you soon. Don't let anyone ever tell you that a desk job is easy, because look, I had to get these wrist braces for my hands and my thumb and wrist areas because I've been so sore from working so much on the computer. So this is the Stingray. So it just has a really basic, it has a really basic texture on it at the moment, and I'm just going to tidy it up. I was doing the texture just with my mouse, so now that I have my drawing tablet here, I'm going to be yeah, just polishing it up. None of the textures in my game are super detailed, but it's just about making everything look kind of cohesive. So yeah, I think instead of opening up Photoshop for this texture, I'm just going to do it in Blender with the texture paint. So this is what I do. So I'm duplicating the image editor window and bringing it down onto my little Wacom tablet here so that I can draw on it. Yep, so I'm just going to do that now. So this is the point where I put the Stingray in Unity, and there had already been a shader made for it which would warp it in like a wave kind of fashion, like a sine wave kind of situation, so that it wouldn't need animating with a rig. It would just be put in the game, and because of the shader, its mesh would animate. And so I applied the shader, and immediately it was like, it was so funny. It was like, this is just like the default values on the shader, and I was like obsessed with how it looked. It looked like this cool like kite. I don't know, I loved it. So I spent like a while just like admiring it. I really like how it looks, and I think once it's actually in the game, it's gonna be so cute. Now, Wham's usually not allowed in my room because this is what happens. She does this every time and then I can't get anything done. But isn't she cute? You're a good cat, aren't you, Liam? You're very naughty. You're a very naughty little cat. So I've got this scene open in Blender at the moment. Let me just turn off these guys. I have this swing set and each of the swings has its own bone so that I can rotate it as a swing would. If I were to move this bone, I'm just like rotating it in world space so it doesn't look accurate or anything, but you get the idea. I can be like, whee, you can swing on it. And don't mind the weird distortion happening. Like, it's never going to be this dramatic. It'll only be like really subtle in the game. So yeah, naturally it's going to look a bit funky if you go beyond that. And yeah, I've got the same thing for the other swing. And then let me turn these back on. These are the characters that are going to be on the swing set. So I'll go to material mode. Ooh, ignore the pink, ignore the pink. So we've got Holly on this swing and Bede on the other. And so this is going to be a scene in the game where they're like having a conversation and they're like on the swings, and then eventually like Holly will probably like stand up. So what I was doing in this clip was making like keyframes for the animation. So basically like figuring out what like the most important like poses are, the keyframes, and getting the models in position. Well, actually you can see that I'm not doing that at the moment. I'm currently in this clip just fixing the pink texture problem. So we'll just let her do that. Okay, so what I was doing in this clip was, you can see I'm like positioning Holly a bit further back because I was thinking like with a swing set, like the key poses would be all the way back on the swing and then like all the way forward. I'm adjusting the swing and I'm adjusting Holly so that, you know, her legs and her hands are like moving back into the position, and then I'm going forward in the timeline and moving them forward. So what I'm doing here is, yeah, just blocking out this animation. I'm making sure that it loops so that it's a full cycle. And it's funny, I'm watching this back and I'm making a mistake in this clip, which I will explain a bit later on. But yeah, aside from the mistake, this is what I usually do, where it's like you create like a very basic kind of block in of the animation. Like I haven't properly posed them yet. I'm just getting the basic motion and then you can finesse later. Well, I can finesse later. I need to stop saying you. I'm just talking about myself. So this is the point where I realized I had made a mistake. I put the animations in Unity just to see what these like, you know, really basic test animations are like. And, you know, you can see here the rotations were all completely off. Everything just looked wrong. Honestly, I'm so brave for even showing this because this is like so bad. And once upon a time, I would have never shown my work in such a like bad state. At this point, I decided that because it was 2 o'clock, I wanted to have some lunch and also do the meal prep that I had mentioned in my to-do list. I decided to just leave it and take a little break. It's 3 o'clock now, so I'm gonna get back to work in a sec, but first I'm just gonna pop out to take out the trash and also get a Diet Coke. Would you like to come along with me, Nene? Nene. Okay, so this was after lunch at around 3 o'clock, and I went back into Blender and I repositioned everything to be on the grid in Blender, which I'll explain a bit more in a sec. But I decided that I needed to redo that blocking out process because it was just really like completely unacceptable before. It was just like, yeah, not good. So I went back in and just put a bit more work into fixing this up. Okay, I did another pass of that little playground scene that I was showing before. And it looks so much better now. Okay, so this is why you shouldn't be lazy, because The reason why it looked really bad before is because in Blender, how do I describe this? All of the objects were rotated to like the angle that they are on the world map. So, you know, it wasn't in like a straight line. It wasn't like on a grid. It was just in the game's world space. So I just, you know, I just took 20 minutes to change the rig setup and just put everything sort of on a grid so that when I'm moving the swings, they are only moving in one direction instead of like a little bit on the X, a little bit on the Y, a little bit on the Z kind of thing. Yeah, so now it's so much, I don't know why I didn't just like do this immediately, but yeah, you can see they're actually properly connected now. They have the same rotation, and oh, now I can actually start properly animating this scene. I'm gonna just leave this animation in for now, but I'm gonna start doing some of the camera work, and I'm gonna show you how I go about setting that up. I guess now's a good time for me to say that if you are watching this and you plan on playing my game and don't want it spoiled, first of all, thank you for wanting to play my game, and two, you probably don't want to watch this video. The scenes themselves, like they'll feel different when you're playing the actual game and you have all of the story like leading up to it. So these are going to be scenes like presented like without the rest of the game's context. But if you're someone where you don't like to know anything about a game, then maybe you don't want to look too closely at these scenes. But yeah, I guess I'm showing this as sort of a bit of a peek under the hood of how this game runs and how I'm making it. So let's just get into it. I'm gonna press play and you'll see, so my game has pre-rendered cutscenes throughout it. And I think I've alluded to this before, but no one's really seen it in action until this very moment. So this animation isn't quite complete. I need to change a few of the frames, but so this is a little video of the characters. And then after that, and it transitions back into the regular gameplay. Ignore this this wallaby. This wallaby is not meant to be here, but for now, let's just pretend that this is fine and this is complete. In this scene, the characters are going to be having like a pretty long conversation, and during the scene, the camera is going to be changing and they're going to be doing different animations depending on how the conversation goes. So what we use for controlling everything that happens in these kinds of scenes is the add-on for Unity called Yarn Spinner. It's like a dialogue system and it's extremely flexible. Like it kind of gives you all of the basic things you need to set up a video game dialogue system, but then from there, you go ahead and like customize it with whatever functions you need for your game. So I'm gonna open up a script. My God, this is so vulnerable. But okay, so this is a script. This is like what is controlling everything that you see in this portion of the game. How it works is it reads each line like one by one. So when there's dialogue, if you want it to be in like one box, like one dialogue box, you just do like a space and move on to the next line to like separate it, and then the game will know that, like, you know, when you get to the end of this line, to progress to the next one, you press enter, or you know, you press continue and it'll go to the next line. And then in these, what are these brackets called again? These types of brackets, that's where you set all of your functions. So there's things like pauses, which is like wait one, so that's like wait 1 second before doing the next thing. In the scene, I'll make like a bunch of cameras that all have a unique name. And so when it reads this, it knows to set the camera. You can choose like how the camera appears. So when it says ease in out, it's like don't just immediately cut to this camera, like ease in to it over 6 seconds. Also because of how it's laid out, because this is on like the next line after this bit of dialogue, it's like, it'll like immediately set the camera and do this behavior. And then there's also like setting the dialogue box position. So I think at the moment, because I haven't done this yet, all I've done in this script pretty much is written the dialogue, like what they're actually saying, but I haven't polished it at all. So I haven't like set the dialogue boxes. This is the most recent dialogue box command, so they're all going to be in the bottom left corner, as you can see. And something you might notice, I don't think this has been in any previous screenshots of the game that I've posted, but the characters all have their own color for their dialogue. So Bede has like this light grayish blue and Holly has like a yellow. I found like it really helps me with reading the dialogue. Like I was finding it really, I was getting like confused a bit about which character was talking at what time. So they all have that now. I'm going to now start setting up some of the cameras that I want for this scene. The camera work is definitely one of my favorite things to do because I like to sort of find like interesting or like unconventional angles, and I guess like when I'm doing the camera stuff, I can really just focus on how a shot looks, like the composition of the scene, and yeah, I just find that really fun. So I'm going to, instead of making a brand new game object, I'm going to grab an existing camera that I've made and just duplicate it. Just as like an example of like how I sort of implement a new camera, I'm gonna call this camera Cam Playground Holly and set it to solo. Let's pretend that this is gonna be a camera that is like, it'll zoom in on Holly's face, or it'll like put her in focus, and then there could be one for like Bede when he's talking. Yeah. I'm doing this in a kind of a weird way. And also see the characters are just in like a T pose now. It looks really weird, but that's just when I press play, they will get into the poses they're meant to be. Okay, so this camera's like roughly where we want it to be. Not exactly, probably, but that's something that we will work on. I'm gonna make it so on this part, when Holly says, anyway, it'll change to this camera that's like putting her in focus. So the camera should cut when I go to the next bit of dialogue. Yay, look, see, it's changed. Anyway, I hope some of that made sense. Okay, so this is the scene that I was talking about that needs finished textures. So it's this little house. This is the house that a character named Juniper lives in. And the living room area is done. So we start at the front door here, and there's this little kitchen. You know what, I'm going to give you a real close-up view because you can barely see this stuff actually in the game. So we've got these little kitchen utensils. I have to call everything little. It's like, oh, this little toaster, we've got this little kettle, this little detergent, and this sink is very detailed for something that you can barely see in the game. We've got a wind chime, and then we've got the living room here. I'm very fond of this entertainment unit situation. Just got a little CD collection going on. We've got some videotapes, big TV, big purple TV, and then there's some little picture frames up here and some little magazines. Yeah, so yeah, this living room area, this is all done, but what isn't done are the other rooms in this house. So you can go into this room, which is Juniper's bedroom, and you can see I've done like a bit of modeling, and it's pretty basic. Like, she doesn't have a lot of stuff. We've got some things here. This is actually, this The reason why this is here is because here, this little collection of like makeup and bottles, there's like an interactable. So there's something that Holly can pick up here. This room is pretty simple, so I don't think it'll take me too long to add those things. I might also add like an indoor plant in here, but I might just end up duplicating one of these. And then someone else lives in this house. This is going to be their room. And this is like a kid's room. We have these bunk beds, which I really like. And we've got a little TV on the floor here with a PlayStation. A little dollhouse and a little car. But all of this gray, everything that's gray needs to be replaced. As well as the bed sheets. They're not going to be just like this blue color. They'll probably have like a pattern. I'm going to spend the rest of the day texturing these two rooms. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. I made a bit of progress, not as much as I would have liked. I added these animals and I did this. We've got a little dollhouse in here. I think I'm not going to add furniture to the dollhouse because you're never going to see it close up. This is already overkill. Like, it's got the steps. It's like accurate to a real dollhouse. That's fine. That's more than enough. I added a window to this room because I realized she doesn't have a window. That's good in a way because it's freed up some space on the wall. This is the Stingray that I was working on at the start of the day, and I just I repurposed it and turned it into a little plushie. So at the end of each day, I make sure that I push whatever changes I've made into the project's repository so that it's all backed up. Something I've been doing at the end of each day, this is a fun new little thing in my diary. I have been doing this thing where I've been keeping track of like my, what I consider like my most important habits, activities or hobbies that I find like the most fulfilling and like help me mentally or physically the most. I'm going to explain this little table to you. So we've got work, obviously, and then cooking, art, like drawing or any other kind of art, and then exercise. And I've been basically trying to just get an idea of like where my time is going and getting like a visual graph of it and like what my weeks and days are looking like. Also, like with work, I've been keeping track of like my hours. So yeah, it's just interesting, and I'm trying to look at it all like without judgment. Just, oh, this is just like a factual thing. It's not like, oh, I didn't do everything. It's just like, oh, okay, it is what it is. I don't know if this is interesting. I find it interesting, but that's because it's my life. It's not anyone else's. You know what I mean? So today, let's see, I started work at 10 and it's 8 o'clock now, and I took an hour break. So that means I worked 9 hours today. And I also did some cooking, so I can fill in this spot here. And speaking of cooking, my dinner should be ready by now, so I'm gonna have some dinner and then I guess just clock off for the day. I will be back in the morning for another productive day. Today is Saturday the 7th. What I'm thinking of doing is, because it's going to be quite hot today, especially later in the afternoon, I think it's going to get to around 26 degrees, and my office gets very warm, so I don't really want to be working in here when it gets to that point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spend most of the afternoon animating. I'm going to keep working on the swing set scene that I was working on yesterday and showing a bit. And then I'm going to move downstairs onto my iPad and I'm gonna finish the textures for those rooms that I was working a bit on yesterday. Something else I have to do today is I actually got some new music for the game from Ellie Rainsbury, who's the musician on Surf Club. They sent me last night a new draft for one of the tracks in the game, so I'm gonna listen to that and give some feedback, and maybe I'll be able to show that track as a little preview. I haven't had a coffee in about 2 weeks, but I decided to get one on my walk home this morning after I took Nene for a walk, and hopefully this will help me.
You can see in Google search results that the word incel, it skyrockets in popularity around 2010. Incel communities really take shape on places like Reddit and 4chan.
It is 7:30 p.m. and I have just been here all day just working on this scene. Forget everything I said about, oh, I'll go and do some texture stuff on my iPad, or I'll do some drawing for fun. I think I just want to keep working on this for the next couple of hours until it's like fully finished for real. I haven't eaten since breakfast. I'm gonna go have some dinner and then maybe I'll take a small break and then I'm going to get back into working on this scene. Actually, before I go on break, I gotta listen to the new music that I was sent. It's 12:38 a.m. and I'm just about to go to bed. Just for the last hour and a half, I worked on finishing up the textures for this room. See this poster? This image here is actually a drawing that I did when I was like, how old was I? I did this when I was 16. I am repurposing it in this game. I've actually done this a bit with some of my really, really old art. I've turned it into like in-universe, like movies and franchises, just for a bit of fun. There's another one, this one as well. This is also a very, very old drawing of mine. Just a little Easter egg moment. The real ones will know. Hey, William. William. Nene is downstairs, waiting for Daddy to get home. Nene, Daddy's in Sydney. He's not coming home until tomorrow. Do you want to go to bed, Nene? Let's go to bed, yeah? We'll go to bed? Yeah? Come on, let's go upstairs. Yeah? Good morning. It's Sunday the 8th. It's nearly midday and I'm gonna take a small break to go to the city. I only want to be out for like maybe 2 hours because I think there's going to be a storm at 3 p.m. I'm just filming my shelf because I'm kind of sick of showing my face. Here, look at Wham instead. Hey Wham! Darling! Yeah, I'm gonna try and be really in and out, just grab a few things and go for a little walk, and then come home and, oh yeah, my to-do list. These are 2 tasks that are already like, they're pretty close to being done, so I think I'll be able to finish them off before nighttime. And then I really want to draw today. I didn't draw yesterday. And I'm annoyed because if you'll refer to my little task tracker, look, the last time I made art was on Tuesday. It's been freaking ages. I gotta get my tasks done, I gotta get my things in the city, and then I will try and have a nice little Sunday evening drawing.
Look, Nene, that's you. Can you see yourself?
I got home from the city at about 3 o'clock and it's 4:30 now. I just spent some time cleaning and building up the courage to get back to work. Oh, okay, Nene, go. So I'm gonna work now for maybe, I don't know, not super late. By the way, this is how the bedroom is looking in game. I think it's really cute. Yay! And then when you go out, then you're back in this living room. Don't mind her. All right, let's quickly finish up this room. Let me show you as well. You can go into the backyard. Oh, I don't know. The camera wasn't meant to do that. Here's a little backyard area. Pretty cute. There's nothing you can do here, but it's cute. Oh, hello. Yeah, let's get out of here. It ended up raining a little bit while I was in the city, but not as much as I hoped, so that was a shame. I think it's predicted to rain again at 6 p.m. or so hopefully that'll be a bit more eventful. Yay! I finished texturing this room. So this is the bed. And I made this little painting in Photoshop, and this one. Some little art on the walls. She's got some magazines here. And then over here, there's just a little frame here, and yeah, I didn't actually touch this stuff, but I did the bed and I added some more pillows to it, and yeah, made these little drawings. Okay, let's check out that room and let's see what it looks like in game together. Ooh, look at this. Oh, cute. I feel like this room looks like, it looks kind of plain, but yeah, I don't really want it to be too cluttered, or I want it to have a minimal kind of look, and yeah, I think it's fine. If it is bothering me later, I can always think of something else to add to it, but I think just for the sake of time, and you know, I have to get this game done one day, I think I'll leave it at that. And I really actually like how the drawing that I did on her wall turned out. That's so cute. Okay, so I've done this room and I've done this room. So that means that this house is officially finished in terms of the art, in terms of the modeling and texturing. That's all done. Oh, this looks really cute. I really like this. I've done one task on my to-do list. Still no drawing done today. I was just prepping dinner and thinking to myself, I know that I wanted to get that swing set scene done today, but I think with it being Sunday night, it's 8 o'clock, you know, my husband's gonna be home in an hour. I'm actually going to postpone finishing that swing set scene until, you know, tomorrow. I'll do it when it's Monday. I just think maybe it'll be better for my health, like mental and physical, long term, like for the rest of this week, if I just leave it at that. I think I'm really happy with how much I did get done this weekend. This whole thing, this video, is something I've never done before, so I feel like a lot of this weekend as well was me like getting used to that, and we'll see how this video turns out. It might be boring as hell and I'll never do it again, but it might be a little bit interesting. And I think either way, I'm happy for my own sake that I took the time to document a bit of what making Surf Club is like. It doesn't feel like it right now, but one day my game will be done and this will be in the past, and it'll be nice to look back on like what the experience was like of making it. So yeah, all of that is to say that I'm going to leave this video at that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was interesting, and you know, if you have any questions, I'm always happy to chat. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will chat to you again soon.